listening to Chase the Vision with Isaac Mashman. Yo, what is going on, everybody? Isaac Mashman here, and welcome back to another episode of your new favorite podcast, Chase the Vision with Isaac Mashman, where I talk about any and everything pertaining to personal growth, business, life, all of the above. Now, at the center of all success, in my opinion, is personal development. Think about it. You go to college in order to increase your worth, increase your value in the marketplace, and to learn a skill. You go to school, and well, you should be going to school and to get a primary education in order to grow, in order to learn new things, learn how to count, learn how to read, all those different things. Personal development is at the core. Personal growth is at the core. The better you can become, the more you can charge, the more people want to come to you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is why I started this podcast. That is why I'm continuously putting out content, because I want to be able to share my knowledge, share my experiences with you guys in order to cut time frames, help you get results, help you see success, and help you just get to your goals quicker. Why would you make the same mistake that another person has already made that you can learn from, right? That's what a genius does, according to Albert Einstein. So today I'm going to be talking to you about weaknesses. Now, how do you improve your weakness and turn that into a strength? And should you go and improve all of your weaknesses, or should you kind of leave some of them at the door and not really focus on them? But before I get into that, I want to ask a favor of you. Now, at the beginning of every single podcast, I normally ask this. And so if you've already listened, you already know about what I'm about to say, rather. And that is that if you get any amount of value from the things that I am sharing with you today, that you share this episode with a friend. I'm not running advertisements. I'm not trying to sell ads. I'm not going to talk your ear off and all. Like I was listening to a podcast this morning, to give you an example. It was 30 minutes long, and there were 6 minutes of advertisements. There were 2 ads at the beginning and 2 advertisements in the middle. It wasn't even an hour podcast. It was 30 minutes. And 20% of the whole podcast was ads. Like, come on now. So guys, the way that this podcast will grow outside of me marketing and sharing it myself across my platforms is by you going and, telling a friend about it. I would greatly appreciate it. Tag me. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what your people think about it. Put me in contact with them regardless. But man, I'm feeling fired up. I just got done recording a training that should actually be out tomorrow if you're listening to this podcast at the time and at the date of its release. But if not, it is the power of 3. Within the past week, I got a whiteboard in my office up on a tripod. So I'm going to be doing a lot of trainings up on YouTube. So if you're interested in checking that out, definitely go and check it out. But the power of 3, is basically contacting 3 new people every single day for 30 days. And then you get 90 new people in your audience. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to go into that. If you want to know more, you're going to have to definitely go and watch that video. So weaknesses. Let me give you an example. A couple years ago, when I recorded my first podcast, I absolutely hated it. I was horrible at it. I would overthink every single aspect of the podcast. I said I breathed too loud, and I would edit all of those different things out. Public speaking has kind of always been easy for me, but speaking and speech has not. A little known fact about me is I actually had to go to speech therapy in elementary school for 5 years. Literally from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade, I had to go to speech therapy. They would pull me out of class once a week and have me sit in their office and work through the vowels, work out the pronunciation. They would have me, improve my I remember, man, like I had such a difficult time pronouncing my R's. Like it was horrible. You can actually kind of still tell that I do. And it's funny because that right there was me having a weakness, but it was a weakness that was important. It was something that I needed to improve because speech is at the center of communication in life. And so I had to go out of my way, and the school system, thank God, and my mom was very, they would encourage me to improve my speech. And now it's gotten easier and it's become one of my most powerful assets. It's kind of ironic that I do this podcast and I'm looking to make a public speaking career when I could barely even, pronounce my words when I was younger. They actually thought in kindergarten that I had a mental issue, like I was maybe lower on the scale simply because nobody could understand me, when in actuality, I just was having a difficult time pronouncing things and communicating. But I took that weakness and turned it into one of my most valuable assets. Now, a lot of people will tell you to improve every single weakness that you find, right? Like you want to become the perfect being, you want to become the ultimate being, but the jack of all trades is the master of none. I know that I'm not a good artist. I know that graphic design is not my forte. Now, that doesn't mean that I could, not be good at it and I can improve my skills. But there was a point in my career and point in my, building up my company where I was doing graphic design work. And then afterwards I was like, this is kind of low quality. I do not like it. And so I went ahead and made a pivot and I was like, this is not my strength. I'm not going to pursue it. But what is something that I am good at? What is something that is a weakness of mine that could be improved upon? And then I went down and started pursuing training. I started pursuing strategizing and personal branding, but I'm not going down the media agency side to where I'm going to be doing graphic design work or content creation. I do content creation for myself, but even then, I'm not the best at it. And I'm eventually going to hire a team that will do it for me because they have strengths in certain areas and they might not be able to be a trainer, but they are a fantastic graphic designer. Growing up, the people around me and people in my life wanted to do everything. They wanted to do the plumbing. They wanted to paint the house. They wanted to literally be fixer. They wanted to fix it all. And I don't know if that was necessarily because they were trying to be the ultimate man figure who knew how to do everything. But what that prevented them from doing is having a specialized area of expertise. It prevented them from finding one specific thing that they could really become great at and then charge a higher value for. And as I've gotten older, I've come to understand that is the difference between an abundance mind state and a scarcity mind state. They think that, they have to do it all so they can save money, when in actuality, their time could be allocated elsewhere and benefit them in a higher return on investment. But to give you guys a better example too, another example, and the reason I'm running through these different things is to kind of get my point across and have real life examples, because explaining it can be just very basic and cliche, and I don't want you to view it as such. There's a drain plug in the apartment in my main bathroom in my office space, and the little drain stopper ended up breaking. And I was looking at a YouTube video and I'm like, what could I do to fix this? And then I remembered, I'm like, Isaac, this is going to take me an hour and a half to 2 hours to get this done because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And then I'm going to still probably have to get a part. And I'm like, I live at an apartment complex that's nice and the management is awesome. And, they have a maintenance crew. And I'm like, okay, let me take a step back. Let me save my time. This is a weakness of mine. This is not a strength, and this is not worth me learning how to do because there's somebody else who could do it, and I could focus my time elsewhere. And then I ended up creating content and doing some other things pertaining to building my business. I submitted a work order, and now I have maintenance people who are going to come out and do it for me because that is their strength. That is not a weakness that I need to improve upon. When it comes to, let's say, you're somebody who wants to be behind the scenes, then that does not mean that you need to become really good at speaking in front of a bunch of people, right? Like you need to go and become really good at being behind the scenes if that's what you want. You have to look at what your goals are, what your aspirations are, who are you trying to become, and have the self-awareness and the common sense, I would argue, to understand if this particular thing or this particular skill is something that is worth your time and effort to learn and become better at, or if that is something that can just stay a weakness, and then you could focus on things that are going to actually benefit you in the long haul when it comes to building up your brand and when it comes to building up your business. You don't have to try to learn everything around you, because then you're just going to be in a million different directions, and those million different directions are not going to get you results. There's a famous quote that says, I do not fear the man who throws 10,000 punches, but I fear the man who throws one punch 10,000 times. Now, I don't necessarily know who that quote is by, but it's, something that I definitely believe to stand true, because if you're going in a bunch of different directions, you're not going to be good at any of them. But if you focus on a couple different directions, a couple different weaknesses that will be beneficial to you if you expand your brand, or if you go and expand that strength and you put additional effort towards becoming great at, man, like that's when you can get results. That's when you can really go and start seeing momentum, because you're not diverting your focus. You're pushing your focus in one area. So guys, don't pay attention to the people who tell you to become great at everything, because the jack of all trades is the master of none. With that being said, if you got any ounce of value from this, make sure to share it with a friend and be on the lookout for a bunch of amazing content. Make sure you're following me at Isaac Mashman and view my website, isaacmashman.com. Until next time, always chase after your vision. Much love.